It's a situation that's not exactly ideal, but it's a situation a lot of us find ourselves in. Co-parenting. Turns out the U.S. is the #1 country in the world where kids live with one parent. According to Pew Research, almost a quarter of U.S. children under the age of 18 live with one parent and no other adult. That means many of us are trying to navigate co-parenting. And today we are turning to a local expert for some advice. Here's my interview with Alicia Price. Alicia, thank you for talking about this with us. Such an important subject.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And I want to dive right in because the idea of co-parenting, I think in general, is probably not someone's first choice scenario.
Yes.
So you have to accept that in a new reality, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things I love sharing with people also is that co-parenting is also for married couples. So it helps us to kind of change a little bit about our perception of it being a negative thing. For a lot of people, parenting across households is not what they wanted to do, but married couples also have to find a way to co-parent and living in the same house together. So I like to expand the definition or the thinking of what it means to co-parent.
And you've really dug into this specific subject. Why for you were you focused on, hey, I need to go all in on this?
Yep. For me, I think it was just a realization that it was a life passion and purpose. I think that I went through a lot of trials as it related to what my early family life looked like. I was raised in a co-parenting household, and then I became a co-parent. And as you mentioned before, it's not something that you necessarily set out to do. But as I found my stride and figured out that this is something that actually could work when we set aside our own feelings and put our children first, it just really felt to me like something I wanted to pay forward. And so I dedicated the rest of my time and this portion of my career to supporting people with co-parenting.
And I know you've done so much research. You said this is a calling for you. What
Yes.
are some big headlines for us to understand about co-parenting?
Yes, a really big one is that co-parenting has a lot to do with relationship. Parents oftentimes think that it's about, kind of skin in the game, what you're doing as a parent, and that has a lot to do with whether or not you should be co-parenting or if you're effective or doing it well. And it's really not about that. When you're co-parenting, you're cooperating, you're sharing responsibility for a child, and you're supporting them to have healthy relationships with their other parent. And if you can keep that as a big headline, that it's about really raising your child to be well-rounded and emotionally stable as it relates to relationships, then you support them to have a relationship with their other parent.
And we know it's really hard to untangle our own relationship with, maybe it's an ex
Yes.
in most cases. How do you do that?
Yes. A really big one for me, and it's kind of off, I guess, the beaten path of the typical co-parenting advice, but I like to tell people to respect themselves, not focusing so much on what you have to do in terms of relationship with the other co-parent or with the other parent, but really respecting yourself, looking at setting boundaries for yourself, teaching the other person how to treat you in this new relationship. And if you stay focused on kind of yourself, your own parenting skill and ability, then you grow, and therefore your other parent, the co-parent, has to respond effectively or accurately according to what you're putting out. So really, really focusing on internal work is, I think, the biggest key that sometimes people forget.
And along those lines, we've heard before this sort of saying, don't badmouth the other parent. How big of a deal is that?
It's extremely important because, again, as I mentioned, that co-parenting has a lot to do with supporting your child or children to have a relationship with their other parent. And if you're talking negatively about that parent, you are potentially, shaping how they feel about their parent or what they believe about their parent. And to support them to have an effective relationship with their other parent is to let them choose, right? To let them have their own experiences and determine, what they think about their parents. So, pouring into them should be a positive thing. It should be about ways to support your children to be healthy and stable and not pouring into them negative things.
Okay, and I also want to know on this note too, I know the idea of still having family time for some people is important. We know every case is
Yes.
different, but I've noticed sometimes I see families who are in this scenario and they'll still have the kids have several pictures of mom and dad.
Yes.
What do those things mean? Why is this important?
Yes. I love, love, love that you get it. The fact that you brought up the pictures is so important to me. It's something that actually I hold very dearly in a practice that I instituted within our co-parenting relationship in our family. When your child has pictures in their home, they see themselves as a part of that home, right? They come into that space and they know they belong there. They see those photographs. If you're unable to have a picture of the co-parent in a main living space, having pictures of the co-parent up in your child's room helps them to still have positive memories about their parent and reflect on, what family really is. And so pictures is a great way to make sure that it's at the forefront of everybody's mind that we are still family. While our family dynamic may have changed, we are still family. Another really amazing tip that I love to share with people as it relates to pictures is changing the thumbnail on your cell phone to your child's photo when it's your co-parent calling you. So when you get that phone call from your co-parent and a picture of your child or children pops up, it shapes how you move forward with that call, right? So it can relieve some of the anxiety or your shoulders relax a little bit because you see the people you love and you're reminded that this is about them or that child. So I love pictures as a tool for helping to keep people grounded around what co-parenting looks like.
And that's so simple too, right?
Mhm.
Takes 5 seconds to do that.
Absolutely.
I love that. So here in closing, I just want to know, what do you think a healthy co-parenting situation looks like?
Yes. Healthy co-parenting situation is two individuals who have shared values and responsibility for their family dynamic and their children. And that can be, a bedtime at 4 p.m., a bedtime at 10, if you agree, right? So that's the thing. It's about cooperating and really working together, not confusing that you do it one way and someone does it another, and then thinking that's co-parenting. It's really not. It's two individuals cooperating with shared values and discipline for raising their children.
And it is still possible to have a happy family, right?
It is possible. I'm living proof.
Thank you so much, Alicia.
Thank you.
Well, next week, Alicia is going to be back with us on Mother's Day to talk about how we can all best support the single moms in our life.